Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something pretty cool. We're going to visually map out literally one of the absolute most powerful tools in network management. If you've ever wondered how huge organizations keep hundreds or even thousands of computers secure, updated, and totally perfectly configured without a small army of IT pros running from desk to desk, well, you're in the right place. We're going to build a comprehensive infographic together that completely demystifies Active Directory's GPO hierarchy.
So think about this scenario for just a second. Imagine you're suddenly tasked with blocking USB drives across your entire company because of a strict new security policy. Doing that manually on 1,000 individual machines? I mean, that's a total nightmare, right? It would take weeks, and human error would inevitably leave some machines completely vulnerable. But thankfully, there's a brilliant centralized solution to this massive headache.
Okay, let's pull up the infographic map we're building today. First up, we'll cover what a GPO actually is. Second, what they can control. Third, the LSODU processing order. Fourth, we'll look at enforced versus block inheritance. And finally, we'll wrap up with some essential troubleshooting commands.
All right, Section 1. What is a GPO? It's basically your ultimate central management tool. The real crucial point here is the definition itself. A GPO, or Group Policy Object, is essentially just a collection of settings. Think of it as the central rulebook for your whole network environment. Instead of setting up rules on a local, one-by-one basis, you use GPOs within Active Directory to centrally manage and configure both the users who log in and the physical computers they're actually using.
Look at this quote. It absolutely hits the nail on the head regarding why IT professionals rely on this text so heavily. It's not just about polite suggestions, it's about the ability to centrally manage and enforce configuration, security, and settings across all domain-joined systems. It maintains order, It ensures that no matter which domain-joined computer a user logs into, the company's exact security posture and configurations are instantly applied. Moving right along to Section 2. What can GPOs actually control? Let's look at your security and configuration options.
When you look at these capabilities, it's like looking at a giant control panel for your network, and we can visually drop these into a few main buckets on our map. On one hand, you've got serious security controls, enforcing password policies, locking down Windows security, and tightening firewall and network settings. Then, on the other hand, you've got user and system configurations, silently pushing out software, dictating Windows update schedules, running scripts, and, just like our earlier example, restricting access to things like the control panel or USB drives. It's an incredibly versatile toolkit.
But here's where people often get a little tripped up. To apply all those rules we just listed, you don't link a GPO directly to Bob and accounting or to Bob's specific laptop. They literally do not link directly to individual users or computers. Instead, GPOs are applied based on the Active Directory container where that account lives. So they link to a site, to a domain, or to an OU, which stands for Organizational Unit.
Okay, Part 3. The LSDBU processing order. Let's really understand this hierarchy.
If you remember one thing from this explainer, make it this simple acronym, LSDOU. This perfectly maps exactly how policies flow and are processed by the system in chronological order. Step 1. The local machines policies apply first. Step 2. Policies linked at the site level are applied next. Step 3. Domain-level policies hit. And finally, Step 4. The OU, or Organizational Unit policies, are applied last.
Which brings us directly to the golden rule of our whole GPO map. If conflicting settings exist, the later applied policy generally takes precedence. This means as the system reads through L, then S, then D, then OU, the last one it reads overrides the earlier ones. So, in a standard flow, the organizational unit rules usually have the final say, simply because they're applied last in that LSDO sequence.
Section 4. Enforced versus block inheritance. How do we resolve these policy conflicts?
Let's compare these two powerful conflict resolution options side by side. On the right, we've got block inheritance. This prevents GPOs from higher levels from trickling down and being inherited by an OU. On the left, we have enforced, where a higher-level GPO actively prevents lower-level GPOs from overriding its settings. Think of it like traffic lights, right? Block inheritance is a giant stop sign put up by a lower-level OU to halt higher-level rules. But enforced? That's a police officer directing traffic from the top level, overriding everything else, even the stop signs.
This quote right here really backs up that traffic cop analogy. If a domain-level GPO is marked as enforced and an OU below it has a totally conflicting policy, the domain-level GPO wins out. Enforced is the absolute highest authority in conflict resolution, completely overriding the normal LSDOU order of operations.
So an enforced policy just smashes right through a block inheritance command, asserting total dominance on our map. But actually, quick side note, and this is a super common misconception we need to clear up, setting a policy to enforced does not mean the GPO is suddenly applied to every single computer in the company. It purely affects GPO inheritance and conflict resolution for the specific containers it's linked to. It just means if there's a fight, the enforced policy wins.
Finally, Section 5, Essential Troubleshooting Commands. Let's open up your GPO toolkit.
This cheat sheet right here is absolute gold. If you've just made a change and you don't want to wait around for the system to eventually catch up, just run gp update/force to immediately push that group policy update. If you want to quickly see which policies are currently acting on the machine you're sitting at, gp results/r shows you the applied policies right there in the command line. And if you need to really dig into the weeds, gp result/h report.html will generate a highly detailed, super easy to read HTML report of the whole shebang.
So, after visually mapping out how all these rules cascade down through sites, domains, and OUs, and seeing how easily conflicts can pop up with enforced and block inheritance settings, I want to leave you with this final critical question. Are you absolutely sure your own enforced policies are acting the exact way you intend them to? A single misconfigured link at the very top of this hierarchy could drastically alter your network security in seconds. It is definitely worth checking your map against reality. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning,